endless dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold. Things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wonder what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Hello, good morning. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and yeah, this is one street over. What you doing one street over from where you living? We're living right, as Mayor Vogel says. We get to live and work in Robertson County. God has blessed us greatly. I love it. Anyway, Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house, and they had a board meeting last night, and I was just bragging on Jordan Turnage, and he's one of those. We thought he was going to be in my room and homeroom, and then he ended up being in Coach White's room, and I know his family,
Right.
so we do stuff up at Epiphany Baptist Church with them for Celebrate Recovery and stuff, and the praise and worship band. So I know his daddy really well, and his mom, and so he got a big award last night, so I saw that. So I'm guessing that's one of the big things y'all did last night is see those kiddos.
Wow, it was a wonderful night. Last night, I guess you'd call it achievement night, is what I would refer to it
okay.
as, because we talked about all of the achievements that our students have done, and again, I think I've shared with you, we try to make celebrations a part of any of our board meetings and celebrations and recognitions, but last night was a celebration of the achievements that students accomplished previous year during TCAP and end of course testing.
Right.
And so, as everyone knows, students in grades 3 through 8 take a series of tests that the state and federal government require students to take. English, language arts, reading, social studies, and science. Those are given in grades 3 through 8. And then when students get to high school, they take tests in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, English 1, English 2, and U.S. History, Biology. So last night we had the opportunity to bring each one of those students in who had the highest score in our county, gave them a certificate. It was a wonderful evening. I would say we probably had close to 100 students there. And a lot of them had at least one parent, if not two, and maybe some grandmoms and aunts and
Of
uncles
course.
and things as well.
Of course. Are y'all coming?
We had a full house last night,
Yeah, I
but
bet.
it is wonderful to celebrate things like that, and just to help them recognize, how important those tests are, because sometimes they help them get placed in classes. Sometimes they help them determine their career paths and help them solidify the decisions they may be making and things of that nature. But I was particularly proud. I didn't get the exact number, but we had a number of students that had a perfect score on the tests. So not just a high score,
Wow.
but a perfect score on the test. And so that was really amazing to celebrate.
is cool.
Those. And a lot of the tests are, I don't know how many questions. We're not even allowed to see the tests and things like that. But, I know a lot of the tests are, an hour long or longer. So, I'm thinking 60, 70 test questions from some of the old tests that we've seen and things like that. But, for a student in both elementary, middle, or high schools to make a perfect score on the test, that's so reaffirming to me. It talks about how smart those kids are. But it also talks about how hard our teachers are working and making sure they're covering the curriculum that the state of Tennessee gives to us. And so, it's reaffirming to see the students really working hard, accomplishing those things. It's also good to see that the teachers have pushed those students to to learn the material, to make sure they know that material and be exposed to that, and to be able to perform on those tests.
It's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool, and I love seeing the excitement and all of the things going on. But it just we were proud of Jordan, and I was like, I didn't know that, but
And
he's
well, let me add this to that because um, our students came from such a variety of schools. It wasn't just one school that had all of the top scores. It wasn't just one area that had top scores. So students from around the county, some of them from the North Cluster, the Eastern Cluster, the White House Cluster, the Greenbrier Cluster, and the City Cluster here in Springfield. So students, again, are accomplishing and being able to accomplish, and that's one of the things that I try to bring in with our administration when we came in, is reducing that variability between our six high schools and our eight elementary schools, is to make sure that students have the same opportunities. No matter what school you attend, you have that opportunity to get
so
those.
that's me. My son's
Okay, I
calling
thought that
me
might
while
be
I'm on
me.
the air.
But they
He's
have
forgetting what time it is.
but they have those opportunities to, to have the um, same course loads, the same offerings, and things like that. And of course, that's easier at some of our larger schools to do, to have the same courses offered. But uh, allowing students to transfer between buildings if they have a class that they like to take in another school, and ensuring that what's learned in one cluster is the same thing that's learned in another. And sure, our schools have their own personalities, and teachers have the ability to, customize their classes, and their personality shows through their teaching in those classes. But the quality of what's taught from school to school to school is in that grade level. So, just when you said that about, I know you're always proud of the students that come through your school and that you see, but certainly, to see those students from each of our
Yeah.
schools being represented in that way, that was great.
That's cool. I love it, and it's just so exciting because I remember what it was like when my kiddos. I know I'm into my oldest grandson. I mean, it's just like he's in third grade, and just seeing all of that now, and he gets little awards and things like that, and it wasn't that long ago. It was my kids, and it's so exciting. And you want to be there for everything, but it's just a lot of fun. But I saw that last night, so I knew y'all had to have a packed house.
We did. We had
Yeah.
a great group of students there, but also when we talk about achievement, last night was our athletic coaching achievement. And so last May we recognized all of our high school students, and in April we recognized our middle school students who had won any kind of award, either athletically or clubs or organizations or anything like that. We recognized those students in April and May of last year. Last night, we recognized the coaches who coached those students, and who any coach that won any district level or above competition.
Very cool.
So, the coaches that won their districts, the coaches that went on and won regionals, and then, depending upon the sport, where they went to sectionals and then sub-states and state
Sure.
tournaments and things like that. But we recognized, I think it was about 22 coaches from across the county
Oh, that's great.
that had the successes of them and their teams. And, we talk about often, what a great job they're doing and how they're doing. And we like to follow our sports teams. And it's been great to see those in the fall, and been trying to get out and see as many teams as I can. But, we also think about the hours that those coaches put in.
It's a lot.
And it is. And most of them carry a full teaching load, so they teach their classes during the day. Then they go and coach in the afternoons and evenings, and they spend lots of time away from their families, and then making those commitments. But we're proud of championship plaques and trophies and certificates and things that they get. But it always reminds me too the difference that coaches can make in students' lives as they're growing up. And so, they always have a soft spot in my heart for, just reaching and teaching and spending time with those young men and those young ladies, and teaching them life skills. Teaching them how to learn, teaching them how to win, how to lose, teaching them how to sportsmanship and get along with that, and to take advantage of those opportunities. So, we had that opportunity to celebrate those coaches last night, and that was
Very cool.
good. Yeah. And our last achievement, I guess I would mention, is we had some transportation awards last night that Mr. Heinerman was
Yeah.
able to recognize. And I think our first one was Mr. Willie Mason, who's been one of our bus drivers for more than 50 years.
He finally retired, didn't he?
Finally
Bless
retired.
his heart. He's a
And
sweet
he
man.
really
I
is a
love
wonderful
him.
guy.
Yeah.
And I saw him outside. He lives near our work, and so I slowed down, blew the horn at him the other day, and
Yeah.
told him we missed him and everything. But last night he was given his final plaque and everything like that. And I don't know if many people know, but there is a bus driver Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Mr. Willie Mason was inducted into the Bus Driver Hall of Fame. I think it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's
I had the
about 3 years
opportunity
ago.
to do that.
I think that's when Mark was still part of he was the safety coordinator still, because I
Okay.
think that was, because I remember him talking about
Yeah.
that. And, but he's such a sweet man.
He really
such a
is.
sweose man. Yeah.
So he received his retirement plaque last night for again driving more than 50 years, and so those of us sitting around the desk were thinking, we probably have ridden a bus that Mr. Willie was driving on at our age, but also they recognized drivers and attendants who had perfect attendance last year,
Okay.
and so to uh, anytime, and I know this as a teacher, sometimes it's more trouble to be out than it is to be in.
It truly is,
as
quite
you
frankly.
prepare your lessons
Yeah, I
and
hate
then
being out.
grading papers and
Mhm.
figuring out what was done the day before by a substitute. And
Mhm.
but for bus drivers, we don't have a big pool of substitute teachers, and so sometimes we have to double up routes, and people have to drive a double route. Sometimes they have to drive triple routes and things like that. And we ask people to drive that may be their second job. And so we find people that want to do that and come in and sub. But the group that we shared with last night, they had perfect attendance every day, morning and afternoon routes, and so taking care of that is a great accomplishment. And we wanted to recognize them at the board meeting last night. So we thank Mr. Heineman for bringing those people to us and letting us see who they were, and to be able to recognize them with their perfect attendance certificates last night for being in their seats every day throughout last school year. So that was a great accomplishment.
I love it. People don't realize that split shift thing. I did split shift for so many years doing traffic, and same thing that the bus drivers do.
Right.
And once you get acclimated to it, it works well, but it takes a lot to be able to keep your mindset and, doing the early mornings and the late nights. And a lot of these drivers are on the road late
Right.
because they have extracurricular events or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And my husband, he's one of the teachers now that's picking up bus routes.
Right.
And you talk about double routes. He's taking and leaving out and picking up middle school kids and dropping them off, and then picking up high school kids and taking them to school, and then teaching,
Right.
and going back and picking up the middle school kids and dropping them home, and then picking up the high school kids and taking them home. It's a long day.
Full days.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a long day, but it's just, and you just love these kids. You just
Mm-hmm.
fall in love with them. We've got, you may have this on your list. Is today Mr. Heineman's last day to drive his kids, or was it yesterday?
It may be.
He put it up on social
Okay.
media. That's what I'm saying. So it's okay to talk about it. I
Right.
didn't know. I'll look it up here, but go ahead. Go ahead. You may be getting to that with Mr.
Well,
Heineman.
I was going to say that let me just put in a plug too. I think we always talk about the need for employees and the need for people, and particularly bus drivers.
Right.
It's a tough job. It's to take care of students and to make sure you're driving your bus safely and taking care of all the safety concerns and the driving concerns that are out there. But again, we talk about that we can be flexible with people. So if somebody could only drive in the mornings, we'll work
Yeah,
with them. If
exactly.
somebody could only drive field trips and things like that for students or athletic events, we can work around those things. But even for people that might not have their certification and their driver's licensing for the bus, we'll work with them and we'll help them get that license and help them get trained, help them get the proper endorsements on their driver's license. So, we're really willing to work with people to help them be paid while they're getting some of those licenses and everything.
And if they wanted to be if they want to be an attendant, anything like that to kind of get acclimated to it, they could do that first. But you see, I think today is his last day.
The last day driving, yes.
Yeah.
And we are so proud of him.
Yeah.
We did make that announcement last night. Mr. Heineman has accepted a position with the State Department of Education, and so he's going to be representing student pupil transportation for the state of Tennessee. He's working at the state office to take care of bus safety, bus concerns, working for the betterment of drivers so that our students remain safe. And so we really hate to lose him. But he goes away with our blessing. I mean, we're excited to have somebody right here from Robertson County working at the State Department of Education and being a great advocate for our students and for the program. So we wished him very well last night, and I know this is an emotional week for that, because it's not an easy decision to do something that to step away from a job that you've loved. He's been a great supervisor and leader for that department, but you also see there again someone else who's doing one job and then driving a bus at the same time and taking care of that. So
yeah, because I mean, as the director of transportation and be driving that bus for these last 10 years, the relationship he has with those kids, I know that's going to kill him. Because he really loves those kiddos, and that's going to be that's probably going to be the hardest part of this is for him to step away from them kids. From those kids, and sound like a hick. Them kids. I was like, where'd that come from? Anyway, so, I know there's so much going on. We're going to try to get Mr. Heinerman in here before he completely heads off. But I tell you, this is such a busy time with the fair coming up. There's just so many things, trying to get everything scheduled. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I remembered seeing his social media post, and I was pretty sure today's his last day.
I had that on my list of things to talk about, because
I apologize. I jumped on it.
I'm glad you did.
You got there.
It is an exciting time in his life, and I know anytime that you change jobs or change positions, and even between changing schools, we have some teachers that try to maybe move closer to home, and they leave maybe the eastern side of the county, move to the west, and things like that. And our people who are promoted, people who become assistant principals and move into administration. It is a challenge when you leave that family environment that you've had in your school and you go to another school, and it's so. It's obvious, being an outsider sometimes, going in and visiting schools and seeing those. But, when you've been a part of a school, I think I taught when I was teaching there at Greenbrier. I think I was there 8 years before I, moved and went to another school. And it was a great opportunity, but it was also a tough decision to leave people that you work with every day.
I had just this one little girl that just started in my class in my home room in my cat time. Her parents suddenly moved to Springfield, and she's transferred to Springfield. It about broke my heart, because that kid just got her. You just loved her immediately, and so it's just, you get these relationships with these kids, and I'm like, why are you doing that? But anyway, you wish them well. But it is, man. You get so. I was talking to some of my seniors. They're in my AV2 class, and they're going to be in AV3 in the spring, and talking about this is their senior year. And I'm like, yeah, y'all leave us and you don't come back and see us. I said, you got to come to the games and things like that so we can see you. But then, and again, teachers have got to be there so you can see your. So it's a lot, but I'm telling you, great relationships, just such a blessing, these kids and these relationships, and your coworkers. Just such a blessing. Love it all. So, talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. So, tell you what, let's go ahead and pause. I've been sitting here messaging back with the Bernard Farms, Miss Julie Bernard's, talking about what they've got going on this week. They did their beef. They cut beef last week. But this week they are cutting pork, and they've got all their fall decor going on. And we really want to invite you to get out to the farm to table dinner. This is such a special thing for you to come out. And everything that they have is from, things that they've raised. It's going to be, of course, the meat and the vegetables and all the things that are going on. But it's like pasture to plate is what they call it. It's the pasture to plate dinner, or a farm to table dinner. And it is happening on the 19th. So I think that's a week from Friday, if I'm not mistaken. You can get tickets. It'll be from 6 to 9 p.m. Be just a wonderful time. You can explore the farm, just enjoy just a wonderful kind of, just that crisp fall night out. It is going to be just a wonderful time. But it's from 6 to 9 p.m., 7536 Clay Gregory Road in Orlinda. They've got a link that you can get on Facebook and see the event, and you can go ahead and get tickets that way. Or you can go to the store and pick up tickets. You can give her a call if you would like to find tickets for the Farm to Table Dinner, 615-637-0004, 615-637-0004. And again, this is their pasture to plate It's going to be a wonderful fall farm table to dinner on the grounds of Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. And this is on Friday, the 19th. And I believe that's going to be a week from, I don't have to look at the calendar. Are we 2 weeks out? That's 2 weeks. So we're going to be, it's not this coming Friday. It's next Friday when you can go and enjoy that. But of course, you're going to have a featured dinner from Bernard Farms beef fillet, local produce, chefs' curated dishes, and local cider bar that they're going to have. And it's just going to be a wonderful time. Just make sure and try to go out. They've got, featuring Public House, North Nashville Catering, and you just won't get any better, guys. It's going to be a wonderful time. And again, it's not this Friday. It's next Friday, 6 to 9 p.m., Bernard Farms Custom Cut and Market, and go out there today. Get your tickets. You can go out there and have breakfast with them. If you want, go out and have lunch with them. They are open now Tuesday through Saturday. You can go out and see them from 7 to 4. They're closed on Mondays and Sundays with all the fall things going on. But she says they've got fall decor out too. They've got the kiddos came home from school yesterday and went out and picked pumpkins and corn and all kinds of fun stuff to put out for a fall display. So go and see Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market and get your pasture to plate tickets for a week from Friday. You're going to love it, and tell them U-Turn sent you. And let's get back to it. Julie and I always love to message her and say, okay, what you making right now? Because it's always so good. But anyway, so what else we got to talk about?
Well, we do have a new slate of officers for the Board of Education. State law provides that in every September, the board has officer elections. And so, first of all, we just wanted to say thanks to Ms. Connie Hogan, who has served as our board chairman. Ms. Connie and I, we taught together a long time ago when I first started teaching. And she was a first grade teacher from the East Robertson community, but has come back to serve and has done a great job as board chairman. And so, really worked well with her, just in our entire board. They just are wonderful people. And so she served as board chairman the last year.
So because they're all part of the school board. They're elected members of the school board.
They all are.
And how many school board members do we have?
There are 6.
There are 6 school board members.
Right.
So then they elect their chair every year. Does it change?
It's every year.
So every year the school board chairman changes.
It doesn't have to, but it.
But typically it does.
It typically has the last 3 years. So it's changed since I've been here. So that's the experience I've had here. And again, just everyone that's we have a deep working relationship as the chairman and the superintendent work together and plan the agendas and talk about goals and talk about visions for the school system. And so I've enjoyed working with Miss Connie, and Mr. Bob comes along with Miss Connie, her husband Bob, and he's a county commissioner, and we're also neighbors, and so it's been a great relationship. But last night, Mr. Josh White, who represents the eastern side of our county, and he was elected chair. Miss Demetria White from the East Robertson area was elected the vice chair, and Mr. Stephen Ayers was elected the legislative liaison. And again, when I say, they're elected and, represent the eastern side of the county or northern side or Greenbrier, whatever, that's another thing I love about our board is they are elected by districts, voting districts, but they understand that it's the entire school system that they represent. And so, they have the interest in all of our school clusters, not just the schools in their area. And they're looking out for that. They're open and accessible and visible, and visit the schools with us and help us celebrate and help us go through those things. So again, just, can't talk enough about how much, Mr. Stephen Ayers was the chairman when I came back to Robertson County. We had a great relationship as he served as chair that year. Ms. Hogan served as chair last year, and then I know Mr. White and I will continue to carry that relationship on and continue to work and hopefully have a strong team there.
I love it. And I didn't realize when the elections happened. I just knew that it had, it does change usually, typically. And it's so funny. There's so much about the structure of how these different groups work that I had no clue.
Right.
Until I sit down here and then I start, and having Coach White And my right there, we share an office,
Right.
and gotten to know him so well because his dad is on the school board
Right.
and was chairman at one point,
Right.
a couple of years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of explained it to me, and so I felt a little bit more in the know after he kind of filled me in on how
Right.
it works. But
Right.
when you mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, that happens. Well, we have the same thing happen with the county commissioners, where they come in and they have their different boards that they have,
Right.
and their all the budgetary things
Mhm.
and roads, and it's complex, guys. When
Well, yeah.
you are in an elected office, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people calling you all the time.
And so, you mentioned county commissioners, and as they represent their districts, but they're also on, I know at least a couple of committees that they serve on.
Right.
And so I was going to mention we have education committee of the county commission Wednesday afternoon. And so there are 6 county commissioners that come and meet with us, and they talk about, what is the school board doing? What's the superintendent's office doing? What's going on in the schools? And so those commissioners, kind of get that firsthand. Of course, our board meetings are open to the public. Anyone can come, and they're even, we even stream those back on our YouTube channel. But anyone can come to those meetings. But our county commission education committee, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
They come and meet with us on the odd numbered months following the board meeting. And
Okay.
so we have a meeting
Okay.
at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and we talk about the things that, not just a recap of the board meeting, but we try to be forward thinking and talking to them about upcoming things that are, long-term things.
So let me make sure I've got this right, because the county commissioners are actually the ones who actually hire you, right? Or is it the
No.
board of school board?
The Board of
The school
Education
board.
hires the director.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because for some reason I was thinking it was the county commissioners that.
Prior to 1994,
Okay.
that was the way it was. In
Oh, okay.
1994, the state law changed in Tennessee. It changed the title from superintendent to a director of schools,
Okay.
and it placed the authority for the Board of Education to hire a director of schools.
Okay. Okay. See, this is, like I said, to me, this is just absolutely fascinating, because I'm always fascinated with how the structure of public, program. I want to say, but it's government. It
Government,
is. It's
it is.
government. Absolutely,
Right.
the school board and everything.
Mhm.
You think about, of course, your senators and your congressmen, but all of this it's all
is.
part of the government, and
Right.
how they structure it and how it works.
Mhm.
Okay, first I had it backwards then, because I was thinking that it was county commissioners, and I did not realize that's when that changed.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know whenever I was a kid, we called it superintendent.
Right. And
And
the
it
terms
may
are
still-
still interchangeable. Sure.
And it may still be that in Kentucky. I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
sure, what they do in Kentucky, but that was one of the first things I noticed when I started understanding this a little bit more, is we are director of schools rather than a superintendent.
Right.
So interesting. See all the kind of stuff you learn here, guys. Just all kinds of stuff. We're talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our director of schools of Robertson County. And they had a school board meeting last night. Maybe mention the fact that for October, the school board meeting will be a week earlier,
Yes.
because fall break
Fall break.
falls during when the school board meeting would be. So we've got a school board meeting on the 6th of October instead of the following week, when it would have been on I forget, the 12th, I guess.
12,
maybe,
13, somewhere in there.
somewhere
Yeah.
in there. So 13th, it'd be the 13th. Yeah. Do your math, Laverne, in your head. 7 days plus 6. Anyway, so instead of being on the 13th, it'll be on the 6th of October. So just kind of make a mental note of that. And if you can, come on in on that. I think we can do. We'll have to look at that, because we may have principals coming in that day too. So
Okay.
we may have a little bit of I'm not sure what we've got going. That's the first Tuesday. That's typically when we meet with the White House Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So we may have to do some
You let me
adjusting
know. I'll
there.
be around.
We'll figure it out. Dr. Danny Weeks is in. Where do you want to go from here?
Well, just kind of wanted to do the other items that were on the board agenda. Pretty typical stuff. Finance. We always look at the finances, and so we're a month behind when the board reviews reports. So they would be looking at reports from July and September, July and August, and so of course those very little's going on because the budget hasn't been approved and everything like that. So not much activity in financial reporting from the the summer months and things like that. But we also look at personnel reports, and so again, as you mentioned, every month we share with the board who we've hired, who's on leave of absence, who might have resigned or left our system, and our new hires. And so we share that group of teachers and our classified employees. And so we just that reminds us of the number of folks it takes to run the school system and the ability to do that. So those are typical reports that are on every board meeting, and to be able to look at those. And then we just had the opportunity to kind of wrap up by sharing events that are coming up. And you mentioned fall break. Um, that's kind of the next big milestone that I think we look forward to. But just coming off last Friday, was the end of the first quarter. We know progress reports went home, and I know as a teacher, I know you work hard to keep students abreast of what their grades are, and if they have missing grades and things, we want them to get those caught up. And so that progress report that went home last Friday with students, and whether they have one physically to carry home, or whether their parents have access to Power School and get that out of Power School, it's always a great time to just reflect on that first 4.5 weeks of the school year. And it's hard to think that we've been through 4.5 weeks already.
No.
But to take those progress reports and reflect, am I doing my best? Am I working my hardest? Did I forget to turn in something? And, do I still have that opportunity to turn that in and get a grade on that? And so we talked about just being that far along in the school year, but also as we think about fall break time. And I think a lot of us think about that as a recess period, just kind of step back, reflect, relax a little bit and get away from it. But, for some students, they need to get caught up on some things.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
particularly if I didn't particularly enjoy English when I was in school. And so, having to read some books and to do things like that. I don't remember having long fall breaks when I was in school at
We
all.
didn't have them.
But
Yeah.
maybe we had a long weekend every now and then. But just the ability to now if you had a week to kind of get reset, and if you were behind in classes or needed to do some projects that you'd behind on, or get caught up on reading.
Yeah, well, we seem to. I think for us in Kentucky, we started later, kind of like they do up north still. Because I've had a lot of friends from up north that have moved down here, and they're like, "What's with school starting in August?" Because they're not used to starting until after Labor Day. And I think that was a lot of it. We didn't have that fall break structure when we were younger, because I think we were starting later. And we had a longer summer. I think we had about maybe another month of summer, but we never got a spring break.
Right.
And we didn't get a fall break. We got some time off at Christmas, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I like this structure. I think it breaks it up for the kids, and I think it makes it flow better.
And some people are critical of that. They say, why do we have all of these breaks? Well,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's 180 days of school.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think it would make any sense, and I would never advocate for it. But, if we started on August 1st and just went 180 straight days,
Yeah.
That's one option. Or, if we started December 1st and went 180 straight days. But, we try to build that calendar around families' lives. We try to build it in for students and for staff, because, we as staff members need breaks.
Yeah.
We need to reset, and we need to get back and sometimes get caught up on our work, and sometimes
Exactly.
we need to go sit down and rest and do nothing for a while. So, the 180 days, we make that calendar. When we make it 2 years in advance, so families can plan, so they know when vacations are going to be, and they know when school's going to be in session. We know when teacher planning days are going to be, and different things like that, parent-teacher conferences, and all the holidays are scheduled. So, it really, families can plan when they're going to go on vacations and when they're going to book that, beach house or mountain
Sure.
cabin or whatever they happen to do. But, as I say that, we did have a couple of surprises this year. You
I was
mentioned,
going to say that was
mentioned
something I was about to
yeah.
bring up. If you did, go right ahead.
With this special election for the congressional seat that's open, there's a state law that we cannot have school in a school where that school is used as a polling location.
Right.
And so in Tennessee, there are lots of schools that are used as polling locations. So we are going to be off on October the 7th and December the 2nd because of the congressional election that's coming up. And so those were things that were not on our original calendar that was approved. That would have been December of 24 when that would have been approved. So those have been, we revised the calendars. It's on the website. We've sent that out through Power School to everyone's home. So again, those are dates that everyone should know. So if they, making sure we adjust our calendars for those 2 dates. But
we've been covering it with the Bobcat Studio and WGHS News. Thank you very much. The kiddos have been covering
if someone
that in our
shows to school
newscast.
on those days, they should expect a vote.
Yes, exactly. And one thing as well is just that I think it might be interesting how you allotted those days. And this is something you sent us in an email as staff. Is how they were pulled from what our pool of snow days would be.
Exactly. Right.
You want to explain that to them? So in case anybody's just wondering, that's how this works.
The state allows us to what they call bank snow days. And we actually go to school 30 minutes longer than the state requires us to do. So instead of you getting out at 3 o'clock every day, you could technically be out at 2:30. But Robertson County chooses to go that extra 30 minutes. And by building up that extra 30 minutes throughout the year, the state allows us to bank 13 snow days or inclement weather days that we can use. So it's kind of like buying insurance is the way I look at it as director. So, we have some insurance. We have 13 days. So if it's a snowy day, a flood, tornadoes, anything like that where we don't need to be in school, we can use from that banked 13 days. And so when these 2 days came about, we were trying to decide how we could best utilize those days. And, could we, there are lots of options. We could have brought teachers in and done teacher training. We could have done a virtual day and, had students learning through Zoom or taking their assignments home on their computers and doing those and everything like that. But just after talking to several people, we just decided to go ahead and take some of our bank snow days, use those 2 days now. And we've had some milder winters lately that we've not used all of our snow days. And I'm going to go back to the insurance analogy. We don't get those days back if we don't use them. Yeah. So, we just wanted to go ahead and use those. We're going to take those up front. And so those days will be coming off our allotment. So
well, and the kids even I was telling them, I said, be sure and make a note of this because we are going to have these days off and they're not normally on the school calendar. Make sure your parents are aware of it. And we put it in the news just when you first sent that out. And I told them, I said they're taking a couple of our snow days. Oh, and I was like, guys, you don't even know you're going to get to use them, you know. And I was like, why did I even say that? Because kids are like, oh, it was my snow days. And I said, well, and I explained it to them the way you did, but kids, you know how they are. But it's like, no, this is a good thing. These are days you probably would not have used.
Probably.
That you're getting to use now.
Right.
So, and they're like, oh, okay, then it's good. It's like little knuckleheads. But anyway, and I say that with all the love in the world. Dr. Bell was in here the other day and we were talking to him and I said something about we were going to all have knuckleheads. He goes, I like to think of them as lost sheep. And I'm like, that's a much better analogy, Dr. Bell, than knuckleheads. I got knuckleheads from Judge Perry. You can thank him for that. But I just think, because I raised a knucklehead, and he's a wonderful, wonderful human being. He has just grown up so beautifully, but he was a knucklehead. And y'all knew who I'm talking about if you had him. So anyway, Jedediah. But anyway, talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our director of schools here in Robertson County. What else we need to talk about? I've got one more ad to do, but let's continue on.
Okay. Well, just, as we talked about the academic calendars, we think about those. I also think about, as it's coming up there's a parent-teacher conference, and so that's coming up right after fall break. And again, we set aside a day. I think that day is scheduled from 11 to 7, so 11 in the morning to 7 at night, to accommodate those working parents that maybe they can't get off during the day to come visit and talk with a teacher, but so that afternoon shift, that 4 to 7, they can block those schedules out and block those times off. And maybe those people who are at home during the day or work nights or work an odd shift could come in that, morning time. So we set aside the day 11 to 7, and then we let principals choose within their buildings when they have lunch hour. So a lot of them will actually start 12 to 7 and do conferences that way. But check with your school. They'll have the exact times for those parent-teacher conferences. But again, if there are concerns, we want to see parents in buildings. We want to set aside that day. I remember when I used to teach, that was always after school. You taught all day long, and then you'd have parents come in from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7 or something like that. And so we wanted our teachers to be fresh as they have those conversations. We want you not to be tired from, a long day of working already and to be something else to do, but to really devote that time to be that parent teacher conference scheduled as it is. And so that date's coming up as well when we think about the academic things that are coming on the calendars. There are also, we heard yesterday that our elementary students are finishing their reading screeners, and so those are screened every year, and to be able to see, how much progress they're making all the way down to kindergarten, learning words and sounds and letters and things like that, all the way up to our eighth graders who are learning to read extended passages and for deep meaning. So those screeners are going through. And then it's time for us to start talking about benchmarking assessments, and those assessments are coming up, and those are given in most every grade where, especially those tested and accountability grades, where we can see just how much progress we've made over that first 5 or 6 weeks of school, and then places those are all used diagnostically to see, what skills do students need, or what have they missed, and how can we go back and fill in those gaps that they had. And I speak about that as a math teacher because that's really where I saw that. Teaching algebra and geometry in high school, there were always students that came in that maybe had some gaps in their learning that they didn't pick up somewhere. Fractions tended to be one of those, and sometimes multiplication skills, or just something was missing. And our benchmarks assessments help us to find those gaps that students have and go back and help correct those. Um, During whatever extra time and support blocks and tutoring blocks that our schools have. I know they all have different names based on their schools and things of that nature, but a teacher's ability to test and see where students are and what they may be missing. And so we encourage our students to do their best on those tests, and that they're able to use those. And so, as we look at those academic calendars, I also mentioned that next Monday is a professional development day for staff. And so principals are working with their district supervisors to find those things that teachers need to be working on, and ability to use data and talk about data, and skills that we always keep our skills sharp. And so we build in a couple of PD days throughout the school year for teachers to use those days and to, um, help them plan their lessons, help them to meet with their colleagues that are teaching in other schools that have similar projects that they're working on, and share their best ideas and just keep their skills sharp. So that's one of the things that we talked about in terms of academic calendars. And then, of course, there's always the fun stuff that's coming up. And as we talk about the athletic calendars, we talked about those finishing up for the fall. I know lots of sports are going on. And then yesterday, reminded board members last night that our bands are in competition as well. And so, we often think about band as being, um, a lot of people just see it as that activity of halftime of a football game. But, our musicians do such a good job, and we have such wonderful fine arts programs here in Robertson County. And so, we think about when we're getting ready to go back to school, a lot of times our bands have been at band camp all summer, or a couple of weeks
In the heat.
summer,
They
in
work
the heat,
hard.
and they do that.
Bet.
And so, we get the privilege to see them a lot of times, at halftime of football games. But I will point out that tonight, each one of our high school bands are going to be at Greenbrier High School at 7 o'clock, I believe that is. And they'll get to perform their show in front of the other bands and in front of parents and grandparents. And again, that's a free event with a small suggested donation for a scholarship fund. But again, we'd invite everyone out to that tonight at 7 o'clock at Greenbrier High School. I don't know the order that the bands will be performing. So, but again, with 6 high school bands, band shows are about 10 to 12 minutes apiece. So, a couple of hours there and enjoying the company, I think it's going to be great weather tonight, a little crisp.
It's going to be nice.
Wear a light jacket and come out. But, support our student musicians that are working on their musical talents. And, when we think about band too, the marching band and the process of that competition is just one piece of our musical programs. But I had an opportunity to participate in band from middle school on up, and I loved that. And even had a chance to do that a little bit in college and enjoyed that as well. But to see the work that, the creativity of the musicians, the creativity of the color guards, and the pieces that go with that. So that's a great night to night. And I think that helps them also prepare for um, it is competition season. So a lot of their weekends from now until early November will be filled with traveling around the area and competing against other bands. Um, they're judged on their musicianship and their ability to move and manipulate throughout the program, and the creativity of the different parts of the band. So that'll take some exciting weekends coming up between now and early November.
Well, I know we have got, I forget where we're going, but ours are on the road this weekend, and they're heading out, and they're, of course, going to be a part of that tonight, and we had put that in our newscast as well. And it's so funny, our senior news anchor, Nathan Roberts, is even in the band, and he got recruited on drums.
Wow.
So he is even popping into that. And I said, when he joined, I said, you do understand how busy you're going to be for the
Right.
next few months. I said, and he's loving it. But it's so fun to see these kids find their thing and just embrace it. We've got a talent show. It'd be 2 weeks from last night that we're doing. And one of the acts, of course, I've been bragging on Jordan. He plays just a wonderful trumpet, and he's doing a jazz piece. And then we've got some of the other band members. They've put together a sax quartet with these different saxophones. I mean, so cool. And so we've got that in there. We've got some real good rock and roll guitar stuff going on, and some pop and all the things, even a Broadway song. But it's just so fun to see the band members say, hey, I got something special on it. And I'm excited. I think you got to make it to if you can make it to our talent show, I think it's going to be awesome. We're a little nervous about it. This is our first time. We got a lot of instruction from White House Heritage on that. Who is the one that runs our arts now up here at Central Office?
Mr. J.R. Baker.
He helped me out, and thank you, by the way. He had sent me some stuff about rules and things like that. And Muriel Barnett, they two of them kind of did that together. And so she even helped me come together and show me how to do tryouts and all those things. But he helped me he was able to find their rules. And I was like, you're awesome. But they have been such a big help. So it's just so good to see these kids just do the stuff that just shows off. I love it. I love it.
And you talked about that, and we do often. I think that's one of the things that our school system continues to grow in opportunities. And I think about looking back on my career, just it's easy to see the sports because they're out there, and back in the days of newspaper, that's what made the news every week. When you saw the newspaper and you saw pictures of the football games, the basketball games, but now everything's in the newspaper. The papers that still exist and online, and we have we have a sport that just about everyone can participate in, from a big group sport like football to individual sports like golf and tennis and cross country and things, where it's an individual sport, and they compete against themselves and against records and setting goals for themselves. So lots of sports, but clubs and organizations, finding those things that they have interest in, and getting in musicians, art programs, and then, all of our career and technical programs that have that student support group that goes along with it. And so, so many opportunities.
It's fun. It's fun stuff. I've got so many kids in my broadcast club now, and it's just a blast. We're having so much fun with all the things that we're doing, and just love these kids to pieces. And if your kids are in Robertson County and are not involved in something, man, just go in and look and see all the options, because there's so many different things they can do now here in Robertson County. Let me go ahead. Let's kind of reset. I tell you one thing I don't want to forget to mention. Talking about sports, track and field. And this is just to put a little, this is something that's just a little seed that my husband mentioned yesterday, is because we've got maybe, Springfield has a big group. We have a fairly small group from Greenbrier. Some schools don't have track and field for spring. Has there ever been any thought of bringing it together and letting them have a Robertson County track and field team?
TSSAA, which is the athletic association that governs governs all
Right.
sports in Tennessee, they allow us to have cooperative programs.
Okay.
So a larger school, you mentioned Springfield having a good program and
Right.
a sustainable program. It allows them to partner with one other school,
Only one.
and
Oh,
so
okay.
they can pick the school that they'd want to partner with.
Okay.
Um, I think there was someone that we talked to not long ago about bowling. Because
Yeah,
we
that
had
would be really cool.
we used to
Yeah.
have a bowling alley here in Springfield, and
Right.
bowling was pretty popular in some of the schools. But when the bowling alley closed, that made it more challenging for
Sure.
our students to do that. I think a lot of them, the schools that do have bowling, I think are driving to Hendersonville to those lanes there.
Hmm.
But every school couldn't field a team,
Okay.
so TSSAA allows us to have a cooperative sport in that program, and so they can join together to do that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, we didn't know because I think I've mentioned to you. I come from a county that was completely consolidated,
Hmm.
and so we have Graves County
Hmm.
instead. It's in the Mayfield area. So I didn't know how that worked,
Yeah.
but because that's one thing. Talking about trying to find coaches and stuff.
Hmm.
It's a chore, and
is.
we were just talking about how that would be really cool if they could do that.
Hmm.
But anyway, that's just something I wanted to ask you about. I probably should have asked you off air, but that at least clarifies that, so they can only do a big two schools together
Yes.
as a cooperative.
But
Okay.
you also mentioned something right there that we always talk about. We need teachers, we need bus
Mhm.
drivers, we need substitute teachers, but you mentioned coaches, and so now we're opening up coaching positions to people in the community that may not be a licensed teacher, that can come in and coach some of our sports, and we're able to compensate them for their time and working in those sports. So
That's cool.
as those jobs are posted on our website, just like any other position is, we prefer staff that are in the schools and teachers that can do those things. But sometimes, they're community members or maybe a retired teacher that wants to come back and continue to coach their sport. And maybe they have time to do that nights, evenings, late afternoons and things like that
Very
to keep
cool.
those sports. So if someone has interest in that, again, those jobs are posted on our website. I would imagine, well, I know all the fall sports are covered right
Right,
now, but maybe there are spring sports and some of the minor sports that are out there and open and available. So
Well,
check
and
out the website.
I think track and field is going to be probably one of the biggest ones that we really need coaches. My husband and I both had coached, and we've just found it to be we will have our fifth grandchild by spring because she's on her way and she'll be here in March,
Yeah.
and so we both just decided we cannot be. Now that doesn't mean we won't volunteer and help where
Sure.
we can,
Sure.
but we don't want to be the named coach. My
Right.
husband's he loves track and field and shot put and disc particularly. And he's like, well, I'm going to volunteer and help him. I'm like, I think that's great. But to be the named coach
Right.
with all that we have going on with so many grandkids now,
Mhm.
it's just gotten to be, we need to have time with grands. And so, and it's just, I need more hours in the day, Lord. It is so funny, but there's just so many fun. Get involved, guys. Hell, if you're bored, what's wrong with you, man? Just get out there and get your toe in the water, and you'll have so much fun, and you will be blessed. Let me do my break before we run out of time. Kind of be thinking in your head what we haven't covered that we need to cover, Dr. Weeks. And let's talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prom Realty. These are two busy people. So busy, but that's wonderful because that's just it just illustrates beautifully how good they are at what they do. Rebecca's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She was in radiology and decided after got the kids in school, okay, I'm going to get back out in the workforce. But she had been doing some real estate part time, and then she said, I want to do that full time. And so she studied these different companies to make sure that she got with a company that had everything that she needed to be successful, and that was Exit. She was with the Garden Gate team forever. Whenever Barry came on board years ago now, I'm 5-6 years ago maybe, probably longer than that, but he was a full-time, he was a media marketing vice president in Nashville for 17 years. He went full-time with real estate. He's the broker here in Springfield. She's the agent up in White House, and they took those two offices and combined them to bring you Exit Prime Realty, which is still in the Exit tree. It's just a new branch, and they've been doing that for about 2 or 3 years now. Just celebrated their anniversary in Cross Plains at 30 years that they've been there. So this is home. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties because of that diverse background and across the state line in Kentucky because like me, they're originally from Kentucky. They understand what it means to live in Kentucky and work in Tennessee. And a lot of you do, but that affects your bottom line, your budget on how much home you can afford because there's state income tax up there. You got to look at all that. So they can help you see the entire picture. Follow them on social media. You'll find Facebook pages for them. You'll find websites for them. Sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buyrobertsoncounty.com. Or you can give Rebecca a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Give them if you give them your email, they'll keep you up to date and send you listings all the time. I get all kinds of fun listings from them. I get to see pictures of people that they've put in their first home, and it's just a lot of fun to follow them. And they're all over town. You'll see them anywhere and everywhere, serving the community and just loving on Robertson County. So if you're looking for a realtor, or if you want to buy, sell, or maybe you want to be a realtor, reach out to Barry and Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty, and let them know U-Turn sent you. Dr. Danny Weeks, we got about 4 minutes. What else do we need to cover?
4 minutes. Just wanted to say, I know a lot of times we do talk about volunteering, and we talk about, supporting our students and our teachers by following and going to activities and things like that. I think sometimes we intentionally don't talk about donations and giving and fundraising, which, those are all necessary parts of our schools, and to run programs and to, buy uniforms, buy equipment, and just to take care of officials. Officials are sent to us by the state, and, they're expensive to have in our sporting events and things like that. So would just remind people that, as we do fundraise and as our kids come around and fundraise, I want people to feel confident that they, the dollars that they're are going to those student programs. They're not saving up. They're not, being extravagant in what they buy. And I'd also just put in a plug for our school support organizations.
PTO.
And those are the official ones that, have been, they've been vetted, because that process has changed, and maybe because of some bad actors in the past. But those groups, the PTOs, the school support organizations, the booster clubs, whatever those are, they have to get approved by the state. They have to turn in quite a bit of paperwork to our office, and our office has to bring those to the board, and the board has to approve those. So if someone's coming around and saying, I'm with a certain booster club or something, we have a list on our website that says these are the ones that are approved, and we know they're accountable to us. Their funds can be audited by not only by us, but by the state. And so as those people are out raising funds and raising dollars, if they carry that seal that's shown on our website, they've been vetted, and we know that those dollars are being used appropriately and being spent appropriately and managed appropriately. So, I know we don't like to talk about fundraising a lot, and we don't talk about fundraising. I try to talk more about being involved and helping people be involved. But, fundraising is a necessary evil, I guess. But it helps keep those programs running, and keeps our equipment in good shape, and helps continue to give those students opportunities.
Yeah, and just like the PTO just did a bundt cake fundraiser.
Yes, all that.
And and so, but all these things that they do for the kiddos, they'll have dances and those kinds of things. That's how they pay for it.
Right.
So by supporting those, I know my husband, he is constantly coming home. I'm like, what is this? Oh, one of my students was selling da 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 da, and I get so tickled at him. But it's to help the kids out.
Yeah.
We have opportunities to sponsor something for football or band or just all kinds of things. And so do that as best you can, and it just shows the support for the kids. And but like you said, all perfectly vetted, and we have some Bobcat Studio T-shirts you can buy to help us if you want to. Yeah, there you go for CTE. But anyway, anything else we need to wrap up?
I think we're good.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Deal. Thank you, and we'll figure out next month. Next month's going to be we'll probably have to do it out of pocket, because I will be working the Tuesday we would normally be here. I don't know what you've got fall break. If you want to come in just on your normal Tuesday, but just a week after the school, because my son is getting married on a Thursday night. And so I told Lee Marie I'm not taking off fall break, because I've got to be gone a few days the next week for this wedding on a Thursday night. What were you thinking? But anyway, it's all good. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Weeks,
Thanks
for
so much.
joining us. And tomorrow is staypositive.news, and they've got some special stuff coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you'll be here to be a part of it. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
To Canaan's land, I'm on my way, where the soul of man never dies.